Hi, I'm Jeannine Lemker, an acting assistant professor and the director of the Entrepreneurial Law Clinic at UW.
What is white-collar crime?
White-collar crime generally refers to offenses designed to produce financial gain that can be committed by both entities, businesses, or individuals, and or tend to be nonviolent in nature. Examples would include various types of fraud, public corruption, bribery, insider trading, and money laundering.
Can you provide some examples of white-collar crime cases that people might be familiar with?
A good example is Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. For many of you who've read Bad Blood, it describes a fraud that Elizabeth Holmes and her co-conspirators committed by taking money from potential investors into a company called Theranos that was designed to provide an automatic device for blood therapeutics that ultimately didn't work and had no value. Ultimately, as a result, she was convicted of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 9 counts of wire fraud and found guilty in 2022. Another example would be New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who was recently indicted by the Southern District of New York for using his position as mayor and in prominent positions in government to obtain illegal campaign contributions and luxury travel from both U.S. and foreign nationals. As a consequence, the government charged him in September with bribery, campaign finance, and conspiracy offenses.
What leads people to commit white-collar crimes?
There's quite a few reasons I think out there that people consider. I'll give you 3. The first is that they have a hard time connecting public harm to their actions. They see them as small decisions that are instead actually in the aggregate making more money for the company. The second is that in a world where executives are asked to be innovative and creative, they often get as close to the line as possible to make decisions and work often in the gray. But every time that happens, that line moves a bit more, and to the point where ultimately you go from legal to illegal. The third is that the idea that if this was so wrong, someone would have told them.
Why do white-collar crimes tend to go undetected for long periods of time?
They tend to start quite subtle and working in the gray area, so it's not very clear that a crime's been committed right off the bat. And instead, it's the aggregate of decisions or a structure of a transaction that ultimately pushes it over the line into something that's not gray and in fact black and white to be a fraud or a crime. They're often complex as well, and by their very nature, hidden in a massive amount of legitimate business within a company. And so it can be really hard to find quickly and easily, particularly without the help of insiders, whistleblowers, or other investigative tools.
How can white-collar crime affect the economy?
Well, in a number of different ways, but I'll give you 2 really important ones. The first is that they have driven some of the most consequential economic legislation we've seen in the last 25 years. Imagining laws like Sarbanes-Oxley and Dodd-Frank were born out of very significant corporate scandals that rocked the economy, frankly, in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, or in 2002 when Enron and Arthur Andersen went down. The second is really the backbone of our economy is capitalism and free markets. So if you imagine a world in where we didn't punish a company for being in a monopoly, or we allowed companies to report whatever they wanted in terms of earnings or valuation, it would undermine the sense of transparency and fairness that's inherent to that capitalistic economy and investing decisions we all get to make every day. It would also hinder, small businesses and new businesses in having a fair shot in joining the economy and promoting different capitalist ideals and products and services. And it may even destabilize the US dollar as a consequence.